The European Parliament has more and more power. It also has more vice presidents. One of them, Miguel Angel Martinez, is with us today to answer your questions on iTalk. Senor Martinez, thanks for joining us. In 2 words, what's the role of the Vice President of the European Parliament?
In 2 words, partly the general management of the Parliament, and then there are also specific responsibilities.
Which are what?
I'm in charge of relations with national parliaments, relations with candidate countries for accession, everything that has to deal with multilingualism, interpretation and translation, for the only institution in the world which works in 23, 24 languages. And I'm also involved in a fascinating project, the European History Museum, which is progressing well and will be inaugurated in the next 2 years.
Very good. Let's take some questions now.
I'm Marta Pont from Catalonia, and I'd like to know what your reaction is to Commissioner Almunia's words in relation to independence for Catalonia, when he declared that you cannot assert with an emphatic no that if a region such as Catalonia achieves independence, it would be excluded from the European Union. What's your opinion on this? Thanks.
It's a question at the moment not only in Catalonia but also in Scotland.
Yes, anyway, the answer is quite simple, and that is to say, if a new state appears on the European stage, a new state that is not a member, by definition, since it has split automatically, it becomes a third country. Therefore, membership or not would, in my opinion, be judged in the same way that we judge accession of any other candidate country. You know that I'm responsible for candidate countries. A country which may be called Scotland or Catalonia would have to go through the same process that currently Turkey and other countries have to go through.
You, who are Spanish, do you agree with the President of the Catalan Parliament who said that in 2020 Catalonia will be an independent country?
I think nothing can be excluded from what has happened, but I do not think Catalonia will be independent. In the current situation, Catalonia should be able to decide on its status, but Spain should also decide. But I tell you, there are times when I think a referendum in Catalonia would not get a majority, and a referendum in Spain could get a result which says, yes, they will go away once and for all. So we don't know what is going to happen.
Another question for Mr. Martinez.
Hello, my name's Sarah. I come from the Basque Country, and my question is, why does the EU not pay more attention to minority languages such as Basque? Thanks.
More countries, more languages, it becomes unmanageable. It's already difficult to manage from the linguistic point of view.
We have 23 languages. We are the only organisation in the world that works with 23 official languages. And we'll have 24 in a few weeks when Croatia becomes a full member of the European Union. The status of a minority language could apply to 60 different languages. And then really it becomes very difficult to manage.
What's the definition of a minority language?
Minority, it's a language that is co-official in a territory where a different one is already the official language of the EU. So there may be regions that have a language, but this language is not the only official language. The country where this region already is has an official language. So for now, this is the process that works, and people from these regions may apply to the EU authorities in their own language. That's the stage we're at, and I think for the moment, I think it is sufficient, and I think it's reasonable.
Let's hear another question.
Hi, I'm Ana Maria Núñez, and I want to know, what is your view on the situation we're in now with budget reductions, austerity, and how this might affect the pro-European feeling? Above all, what effect do you think it could have in the next European elections?
We're losing the European vision, the optimism in Europe.
Well, listen, a process which was born and has worked for decades with an identity of fundamental solidarity is shifting dramatically to become one which has lost that solidarity. The Solidarity project did have huge social support.
Yes, but obviously it's not been seen to work.
Yes, it worked for many years. Yes, it worked. Go to Spain and say that it did not work. And so, yes, it worked for years, except because of the crisis. And it would take a long time to explain. The process is going to veer off course and lose that fundamental solidarity. And automatically the widespread social support will mutate into social rejection, and I think that is extremely serious. I think this obsession with austerity is a dangerous obsession, and one which must be recovered. I think the Nobel Prize says something. The Nobel Prize recognizes what we did, but it warns. Be careful. Do not change. Hold that level of democracy and solidarity, which is synonymous with unprecedented social progress within our region, compared with any other country in our region and globally.
Another question on iTalk.
I'm Yves Leblanc, a professor of history at St. Louis Institute in Namur. We've just been visiting the Parliament this morning, and I wanted to ask you this, Mr. Vice President. Do you think that the Parliament today is truly independent? What is the power of lobbyists over that independence, which all parliamentarians should have? Thank you.
I believe sincerely that the European Parliament is not dependent on lobbyists. They play on their influence, and I think it's more important to see the independence of the European Parliament in relation to the governments of member countries, in relation to the Council, in relation to the Commission, moreover, in each of our countries. I was a national deputy for 22 years. I was in power, I was in opposition, and for me, the independence between the legislature and the executive, that is an independence which, in my opinion, is absolutely in question. It is this independence, then, that is in question. It is not so much independence vis-à-vis the lobbyists that exists at national level. It is mainly the independence of Parliament and its powers, the exercise of its powers in relation to the Council and in relation to the Commission.
A last question for Senior Martinez.
Hello, my name is Bruno Verlet. I live in Brussels, and I was wondering what the European Parliament can do specifically for young people in Europe.
Big question, short answer.
Yes, it is, as the question raises a complicated issue. What we can do is to first make them understand that Europe has never been what it is now, and that the problems facing young people today have in the past been much, much more serious.
But how can you tell that to young Spaniards?
I say to young Spaniards, there were young people who were killed in the wars that took place continuously between member countries. That was bad, because young people who were killed during conflicts between neighbours in the 20th century for interests that were not theirs, that was something. Therefore, it is necessary to understand what the reality of European vision is, and it should especially give young people a chance to participate in political decisions, and that they also understand what is the point of democracy. And above all, we must ensure that the dramatic problems that we are currently experiencing, including unemployment, cannot go on forever, because it will inevitably lead young people away from the hopes and away from the progress of Europe.
Thank you for your answers, Senior Martinez. The next guests are on our website. Thanks to the European Parliament in Brussels here for their technical support. Join us again soon for another iTalk on Euronews.